good morning. Winning on Wednesdays. What is up, Joe Kampert?
What's going on, dude? I was laughing while that intro was going. I'm like, dude, you realize that we're both wearing freaking baseball. This is our softball jersey. And I was like, dang, like, dude, great minds think alike for sure. I'm doing great. How you doing?
Man? I'm doing outstanding. I'm rocking my Lou Gehrig jersey this morning. Feeling pretty good about it. So, it's Wednesday. It's time to kick it into overdrive. We're right at the peak of the week. We can see the weekend, but don't get distracted by it. Today's the day we got to pour down and make sure that we crush the rest of the week. And that's why we started this whole podcast or this show live, whatever you want to call it. So I'm super happy to be here. We have an awesome guest coming today, I understand. I don't know the gentleman myself, but you have a good insight on him.
Yeah.
So if you want to maybe pump that a little bit before we get him on the show.
Yeah, well, let's do before we introduce Mr. Nick Ayers, and I know everybody who's on here, real quick, guys, make sure you let StreamYard view your comments or see your comments so that when we see you guys dropping anything in, we know it's you and it's not just Facebook user, right? Because we're on the StreamYard platform. So please make sure you give them access to the comments, and please go ahead, put in the comments that you can hear and see us. I see Mr. Hankey. What's going on, brother? So go ahead and start dropping that in. Before we go, Tony, what's your win of the week? Come on.
My win of the week is we absolutely locked down our new web domain that we want. For my wife's agency, as you know, it's Avila Medicare Solutions is the current doing business as that we're using as a fictitious moniker, so to speak. And our toll-free number is 855-GO-AVILA. And that's kind of been one of the branding pieces we've been using. And then not too long ago, it dawned on me that we should have www.goavila.com as our primary web domain that we can market with. That way it all kind of feeds into one. The brand becomes unified. Some guy in Spain was holding it hostage for €1,000. Wasn't using it all, but I bought it. And finally got it from him and got it transferred over to my registrar. So it's all ready to go, and we'll be knocking out a website on there here pretty soon. And just redeveloping, lifting the brand up, right? It's all about that. So, branding is a long-term play, but it does require that you pull a lot of pieces together, and kind of like Legos and put them together and get that brand built up. So we're happy to have that piece locked down. That's going to be big for us, I think.
That's good. Yeah, my win is we actually have I'm not going to say his name because he's down the hall and he doesn't like me saying his name, but he's our top agent. And he actually just flew into town last night. So we were hanging out last night, just shop talking, and he's here in office. And so he is our number one agent. And so we're going to whiteboard session out. And so it's hilarious though, because I've never, just those relationships and everything that you have, where it hasn't been in person yet, but it's I feel like I've known you and I have known him for years and years through Facebook. So that's my win. I always love putting kind of a person to a Facebook messenger, right? Or to a Teams message. So I'm super excited. And that leads me to introing, and you were talking about branding and marketing. And I think literally the guy that we're about to bring on here, guys, is one of the best in the business when it comes to that. I'm sure you guys have seen him around. His name is Nick Ayers. Nick is out of Arizona now, I believe, has been in insurance for a hot minute. I'll let him explain all that, but we're going to bring him on. So without further ado, you guys want to go ahead and drop it in the comments. Let's give a nice little hand clap for my good buddy, Nick Ayers.
Welcome, sir. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you guys doing?
Good.
We're doing great, man. It's great to have you on the show. Joe has certainly spoken highly of you. Says you've obviously got a lot of experience, not only in branding and marketing, but in CRM technologies. So I'm really interested to kind of dive into that and get some of your experience on what it's like to actually build and design a CRM, customize a CRM, and maybe what, agents should be looking in their CRM that'll help them achieve big wins. So
sure.
Thank you again for joining us. If you just want to take a moment, just introduce yourself, let everybody know who you are, what you're up to, and then we'll, get rolling from there.
Yeah, I'll give you kind of the 1,000-foot overview. My name is Nicholas Ayers. I've been in the insurance industry, got recruited into the insurance industry on the P&C side in 2005, and was a producer for a number of years, for 7 years. I went to work in that 7 years. I went to work for a large captive carrier in California, where I'm originally from, Northern California, and was doing really well at the captive carrier, and got fired as their number one producer. This was in 2011. I got fired because at the time I was running Facebook ads and running landing pages and doing lead gen and trying to, drum up business. And they came to me and said, "Hey, you can't do that." You're gonna have to stop doing that. We can't control it, essentially. And in my late to mid 20s, I said, what are you gonna do, fire me? And they said, as a matter of fact, we're gonna fire you. So, I resolved that day, 2011, that I'll never work for somebody ever again. Spent about 9-10 months, maybe a little closer to a year, and opened up my first independent insurance agency in Northern California. That was 2012. Sold that in 2018. And then said I was a glutton for punishment and didn't get enough of it, so I did it again and started another scratch agency, and recently sold that. And the reason why I sold it was because somewhere towards the 2019 timeframe, I was approached with this opportunity to kind of launch this idea of a CRM company for property and casualty agents called Better Agency. It wasn't called Better Agency at the time. It was called something very, very different. And it was a really silly name. I came in there and I said, we need to change that. And so went on that journey of launching Better Agency, moved to Arizona, where I live now. And now 100% of my time is spent focused on really trying to tell a story of Better Agency. And I work as a co-founder and chief marketing officer. We have a great team. We're building our team. And we're trying to impact an industry that has seen very little change and very little. It's still stuck in this old way of thinking, and we're trying to I don't like the word disrupt, but we're trying to change kind of the trajectory and the way that people think about running an agency on the P&C side. And so we're having a lot of fun, a lot of challenges. I tell people right now, I feel like we're kind of going through puberty a little bit. Our voice is cracking. I'm becoming a man, and we're kind of figuring out what we want to do when we grow up. And so that's kind of the journey that we're on.
It's awesome, man. Yeah, you guys are, making strides for sure. Real quick, I'd let you go, Tony, but man, like you guys are taking the freaking market by storm, man. So kudos to you guys.
Thank you.
So I'm curious, you made a comment that that the industry kind of has been stagnant in that space. Are you specifically speaking of the CRM space, the tech space?
Well, that's where I fit into it. But no, I mean, the industry as a whole is pretty stagnant. And when it comes to technology, when it comes to processes, when it comes to all the things of running an agency, it feels like it's something that was a life lesson that was handed down from my father, who learned it from his father, who learned it from his father. It's one of those things where there's been very little change, and this is just the way that it is. Give you an example. When we first launched Better Agency, we started as just a CRM company. We thought we can solve a problem by providing marketing automation, done-for-you campaigns, and help agents, independent agents, do better in their office when it comes to marketing automation. And we had this dream of wanting to integrate with other legacy platforms. And I can name them all. People who are watching could probably fill in the blanks. Other AMS companies, other CRMs, other things. We believed in this era of connectivity. And we learned very early on that there was two major problems. Either A, they did not want to integrate. And they didn't want to integrate. And we famously had one really popular, well-known AMS company tell us, if we integrate with you, people will spend more time in your platform and not in ours. It's this old way of thinking. And then we also learned that the technology that half these companies were made on, I feel like it was built at the time when O.J. Simpson was on trial, and they haven't been updated since. We're talking with 30, 40-year-old technology, it felt like. And hitching our wagon to that was not a good idea. It's like, I always felt like it was dropping a Corvette engine into the body of a Pinto. It's not good. It doesn't match. And so we said, well, shoot, why don't we just figure, we're not going to take no for an answer. We have this mission. We have this purpose. Let's just go and try to solve the problem of getting, the same data that they're getting. And maybe we should have had someone talk us out of that at the time, because it's a very heavy lift. It's a very expensive heavy lift. And but we were dedicated on solving this problem. The problem that we find is that the insurance industry as a whole doesn't have a whole lot of people that want to come alongside and help them. Everyone's so quick to go to the shiny object, or to, there's been over $8 billion in the last few quarters that have been poured into Insurtech and technology, all of which have been meant to either replace the agent or to marginalize or minimize the importance of having an independent agent. And we said, no one's coming alongside and helping agents. Insurance agents are an endangered species, it feels like. And so we want to come alongside and say, what tools can we give agents that are going to help them fight this battle. They're fighting an army wearing 40-year-old armor against M16s, and so we wanted to figure out a way to empower agents, enable agents to give them the tools that they want. And coming from an agent background, it wasn't good enough that the industry just wasn't doing enough. A lot of single point solutions, a lot of things to do one thing really well, but nobody wants to do well with each other. And you're forced as an agent to have this Frankenstein system of a tech stack. And I just don't think that's a good idea. We don't think that that's wise. We think agents should be able to operate with efficiency and with enough empowerment and technology that's going to allow them to truly make an impact in their communities, in their own lives, in their families, with the clients that they serve. Why can't agents have the technology that this well-funded Insurtech has? Well, the reason they don't have it is because nobody comes alongside them and helps them. That's why. Right. It's not because they're not deserving. It's not because they're not valuable. All the data shows that when you go through an independent agent or you deal with an agent, the profitability of that book of business with a carrier is far better as a field underwriter from a profitability standpoint, from a loss ratio standpoint. It's far better. Why aren't we giving agents more tools? Why aren't we helping them kind of climb that hill? And so that's our mission. That's what we're focused on. We're focused on agency success. We believe in the independent insurance agent, and everything we do is for the IA channel.
Man,
love it.
That's winning right there, baby. Shoot, come on.
It's 8:00 my time, and so we got to get primed a little bit.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's the same problem in the Medicare space, which is where I focus in, right? And it might even be worse. And part of that is because of the clientele, right? We had to kind of wait a little bit for some of the seniors to kind of catch up and actually learn some tech before we can start pushing it on them. But yeah, it's been carriers and mainly carriers have been slow to adapt technology, and then certainly technology at the agent base has been kind of slow coming, but it's really coming around now. There are a lot of great CRMs out there. They're still developing. They're still going through that phase where they're, who do we want to integrate with and who do we not want to integrate with, right? And what's the upsides of that? One of the CRMs I like to use is now finally doing some beta testing on integrating with Zapier, which is nice. But yeah, you're right. Insurance has normally been very restrictive, but there has been a change, I think, in the last few years that people are starting to wake up to that a little bit and realize that, hey, sharing of information, doing a little more open source between each other as well as our technology is definitely going to benefit all of us and lift the industry up in a better direction, I think.
Well, if you look at the trend, and I'll use a couple examples, and I'll name some of them because I think we're okay to name some of these companies. You look at companies like Lemonade. You look at some of these other companies that kind of came in that Insurtech 1.0 space. And their whole model and the whole positioning was, you don't need an agent. They're middlemen. They're greedy. They're just trying to get your commission, right? And none of which is true. Yeah, it's not true. Like, you don't necessarily save because you go through an Insurtech. And by the way, I go through all the quotes on all the Insurtechs. I've never found one that's actually cheaper than what I had when I wrote it myself.
Right.
Now
it's the same products.
Same product, right? And so their positioning in Insurtech 1.0 was replace the agent. Agents take up space. They're at the end of the day, they're a major expense on the P&L for a carrier. But now what you see after my perception, after they've kind of tried that route and gone through that path, they realize their loss ratios are high. Their business isn't very profitable. They're not making money. And what you're experiencing now, and what you're seeing in the position now, is you find all these Insurtechs saying, "Well, let's work with it. Let's work with agents." And that's kind of like been the live trajectory of Insurtech is, agents are bad, and then they go, "Well, let's work with agents because we see that agents are a great distribution channel." And what I always caution agents about is, well, be careful who you're getting in bed with, because they've already, once someone shows you who they are, you got to believe them. And, to be cautious that you're not just being used as somebody to build their book of business and then they dump you. I think it's great that Insurtechs are coming in the space, and I love the ones that are coming in now. They're saying we want to work with agents, and that's their starting point. They believe in that, and they're putting their money where their mouth is by investing in products and tools and resources to help independent agents. And so I think that it's when you just kind of look at and you just read the tea leaves and you see how things are evolving, it all comes back down to working with an agent and the value that agents have. And when I talk to agents, I always tell them, I feel like you got to have like that. What was that guy from SNL? He's like, he looks in the mirror, he says, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and gosh darn it, people like me. You got to almost have that moment with them. You're like, you are valuable. You've got to stay, you've got to put your flag in the ground and stake your claim, because you are important to how this whole call works. And as an agent, you are such a valuable commodity towards your community. You're the field underwriter. You're the person that is able to come in there and really analyze risk and really help agents do the right, or customers do the right thing. And so, I'm 100% for agents and independent agents specifically. It's where my heart is, and it's how we want to build.
Well, let's stay there for a second. So especially for newer agents, we do have quite a bit of newer agents that are maybe agents who have been in maybe a year or two, where they didn't know what it was like when there was an Insurtech, right? To where now, again, that shiny object type of syndrome. What would maybe be 2 to 3 things? Because not only did you start a scratch agency back before the Insurtech stuff, or maybe right at the beginning, right? Maybe at like 0.5, not even the 1.0, like beta stuff, to then selling, but then to building up another scratch where, automation and Insurtech and all that stuff has become more prominent. What would maybe be 2 to 3 tips? I know you kind of just highlighted a couple of them, like make sure you know who you're getting in bed with, those type of things. But what would be 2 to 3 tips of, hey, you're new, it is a good company, right? Or that it is a good product. What would be 2 or 3 tips for you, or that you would give to a newer agent that's kind of seeing all this stuff that's changing in the industry?
Yeah, first thing is not everything that glitters is gold, and you have to really understand who you're trying to serve and who you're trying to protect. What happens with the proliferation of all these Insurtech carriers, you find that a lot of them, and I want to make it very clear, I think there needs to be more Insurtech, or what I really consider broker tech. There needs to be more of that. So technology is not, it's not like technology bad, Yellow Pages good. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there needs to be more, but you need to know who you're trying to partner with. And what you see with a lot of these companies is they're very niche focused. So you have Insurtechs that help with just landlord policies, or you see Insurtechs that help with renter's insurance or life insurance, or these very niche product, pet insurance, some of the gimmicky stuff, right? And as an agent, I think it's very easy to see that and go, well, I need that, I need this, I need that. And you start building kind of your buffet around things that don't necessarily suit your ideal client. So at the end of the day, you have to understand, who are we trying to serve? Who are we trying to protect? And it's very easy, especially when you're building an agency. And I get it. I mean, that first year, you're eating top ramen and Jell-O for dinner. So I totally understand. You want to put stuff on the books. You want to make money as quickly as you can to fund and to propel the agency. But you have to stay the course and stay focused on who it is that you're trying to serve. And if your client isn't a real estate investor, maybe you don't get that appointment with XYZ company and have that commitment and have to worry about that. Stay hyper focused and targeted on who exactly it is that you're trying to protect and who you're trying to serve. And when you ask agents, well, who's your ideal client? They'll almost always say the same thing on the property and casualty side. I don't know too much on the Medicare and life side, but on the P&C side, it's I want preferred homeowners. I want people who own a home, have 2 cars, have a young driver, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's very cookie cutter stuff, and that's fine if that's what you want to do, but you have to understand you're also competing against everybody, multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar company. Geico, Progressive combined last year spent, I believe, over $2.71 billion just on advertising and marketing. That's just on the ads itself, the networks and TV. And so you're competing with that same type of clientele. So it's fine if you want to go after that, but you have to, again, be very strategic on how you're going to attract that in a local community sense. Who are you going to partner with when it comes to centers of influence, referral partners? You got to have that stuff dialed in. Or maybe perhaps one of the things I always recommend people to do is to maybe play alongside the fringes first. And, if your ideal client is that preferred homeowner, or it's that, preferred client, then, figure out other ways to find a backdoor into the business. Maybe it is through their toys or collectibles, or, I always tell people, if you're going after affluent clientele, maybe you're going after their wine collections, or maybe you're going after what they're scheduling on their policies, and you're figuring that out, and you're using a backdoor. With the technology that's around you and with all the messaging that's around you, it's very easy to do this, that, and the other. And as an agent, my encouragement would always be to stay the course, stay focused. It's okay to evolve and adapt, but you have to, it has to align with what the overall goal is, as far as who are we trying to protect and who are we trying to serve. For some people, it might be niche military veterans, first responders. It might be people in a certain field or industry like nurses or whatever. And that's fine. But you have to stay in that vein and not get so easily distracted. So that would be my major encouragement to people who are starting out or within their first or second year, because it's very easy. And as you start to get renewals, you start to think, well, this gets a lot easier. I can expand. There could be land grabs, and maybe that's the case. But you want to think about this a little bit more strategically and take an extra 10 seconds and think about what it is that you're trying to do and why.
It's good.
I love that, because I see that happen with a lot of new agents, and within the product side, within the tech side, where they see, because we're flooded with information now, right? I mean, there's so much info that is just poured into us, so much noise. Perfect. So I see new agents get distracted. It's like, oh, I want that. 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 I'm going to do annuities. I'm going to do life insurance. I'm going to do some P&C too. I want to do Medicare. Like, whoa. Now you've written 4 apps. Like, let's slow down. Like, let's get one lane down and get good at that before we start trying to do everything.
I play music, and I've played music for the last 20 plus years. And so when the instrument of choice for me is drums. And now I'm at the point where we're teaching our kids how to play music. And my 8-year-old is learning guitar. And one of the things I learned very early on about music is I would always say, you know what, I want to go learn to play bass. I want to go play guitar or keyboard, all these things. And there are people that do this. And this was a mindset thing for me. Is I had someone tell me early on, because I think I'm a fairly good musician, and I've had to work hard at it. But at this time, someone said, Nick, you should master playing the drums first before you go learn how to play bass. And I said, well, I'm pretty good. But it came to me like, number one, like that term mastery is something you never quite get. Right. And now, my wife is like, well, we should teach our son, like he should get into multiple instruments. And it always came back down to let him become proficient in this first. Let him master this first. And because when you are divided, your attention's divided, your focus is divided, and your results get divided as well. And it's not as good as what it would be if you were just focused on the task at hand.
It's good.
Right. So we can bring this full circle back to tech and the Medicare space, for example. There is if you're really wanting to build an agency that's scalable and they can do everything that you want it to do, right? Great lead aggregation, great automation, great policy management, great sales process. There is no all-in-one solution. Like I've got 3 primary platforms that I use in the Medicare space. Go high level on the front end to aggregate all my leads and run the automation. I use another CRM on the back end to manage policies and those back end automations. And then I have a whole different piece of tech that we have to use for the actual sales process when we're enrolling clients. And they all don't integrate. There's that space where they're starting to, there's some beta testing going on, but they all don't integrate. So kind of getting back to that thought of distraction, like how as an agent, do you not distract yourself by getting too much tech? Yeah. Too much product in lanes is one thing, but like when it comes to tech, like how do you just slow down and go, wow.
It's hard, right? And this is what a lot of agents experience. They have this Frankenstein's monster of technology, and it's no fault of their own. I feel like they've been conditioned to this. When we come out and we talk about this is our vision, we believe in this experience that you should only have, similar to logging into one browser, and you should be able to do everything in that one browser. This is the experience we're trying to craft and create. We're not there yet. Full transparency. That's where we want to go. And people kind of look at you and go, well, it sounds good. And then it's almost like that GIF where the guy's triggered and he's going, it's like their brain short circuits a little bit because they're so conditioned to think, well, what about this and what about that? And one thing that I've learned is the word integration doesn't mean what you think it means. You want things to be this real native experience, and it's just there's so much limitations. And being on this side, I have a greater understanding of the argument as to why sometimes that might be the case and why that's valuable. But I just think, and we think, there's just so much value in one native experience. And whether or not you are within our platform or another, there should be this native experience and connectivity that you experience in your workflow. I shouldn't have to remember 100 things. I shouldn't need a password reminder for 1,000 different things. I just shouldn't. I think that is ridiculous. And the fact that we think that that's okay and we're okay with it, I think is odd.
Yeah.
Again, I understand that's
I have a whole Google sheet of all my logins and all my sites that I have to deal with.
I understand that's the current reality, and we're trying, and maybe we get there, maybe we don't, maybe there's a hybrid version of it. I don't know, but I just think that agents should have more tools, and they should not just more tools, but they should have the best tools. There's no reason why somebody should think it's a better idea to go online, and I understand the convenience of it, but why not give those same tools to agents? Yeah. Why not empower agents? I
love your pat. I mean, I hope everybody hears this, guy. Like, you guys hear this guy's passion for freaking insurance agents. I love that, right? And I always say this, like, I was the dude literally that gets to raise my hand because I've wanted to be in insurance since freaking second grade. Like, I'm that guy. I am extremely passionate about insurance as well, and I just love it because everything that you're saying too is, I think it translates to agents outside of even what we're talking about right now. Like, when you have that idea, right, and there is passion behind that, right, and you see something where, we're in a problem-solving business, right, and I think a lot of the times, and this was the most eye-opening thing for me when I went independent, was like I started making money, but I wasn't selling the product, right, and I always, in my mind, it was always, you have to sell auto and home insurance. You've got to do this, right, but then when you start solving problems, whether that's through introductions, like through relationship building, through networking, through whatever it is, hey, go use this CRM, and what do you know? There's affiliate fees for that, right? Or hey, everybody needs a website, so there's money to be made in that. And I just want to encourage anybody listening to this, because and I think you guys have done this, and you embody it at Better Agency, right? And your entire team and your culture is, you have this idea, but then you have this dream and this passion of what this thing should be. And so I just want any agent listening to this, that if you've got that idea, that spark where you really feel as though you could solve a problem, like, tap into that and be passionate about it. And I just wanted to, everything you're saying is just resonating with me big time. And I'm an insurance nerd too. I'm like, oh dude, like, I freaking love insurance. I just love everything that you're saying. And I've always said it too, is nobody's ever going to replace Joe Kampert, right? And and I love that you're preaching that, where, hey, Insurtech is great, but like, partner alongside, right? No Insurtech company or online quote form is ever going to replace Joe Kampert, right?
Right. Those are great Those are great assistants, right? I want agents to have those things. We want agents to have access to those things. We're not naive to think that we're going to go back to a world where people pick up their rotary phone and want to go sit in an agent's office for an hour and shoot the breeze over whatever. Like, we're not naive to think that. Yeah. What we're saying is this is the way that modern consumers behave. This is the behaviors. These are the expectations. Why is insurance stuck in 1972? Like, why? It's mind-boggling, and it's more than just having a fancy looking website with nice rounded buttons with the right color scheme, and it's more than that. It's more than just being able to get a quote in 5 seconds. Mm-hmm. It's not that. Like, you have to. I hope I'm articulating that there's a spectrum here, and there's a balance, and there's a more balanced way of thinking about this. And it's if we believe, and if the bet that we're trying to make is that independent agents are viable and that they're here to stay, which I firmly believe, I'll go all in on that bet. And the data proves that that's true. That's the best thing. It's the most profitable thing at the end of the day. Then why aren't we supporting that? Why aren't we? Right. Why are we? And why are the legacy technology partners stuck in their ways of not wanting to evolve or enhance? Why is it some boardroom with 50 dudes that were alive when Prohibition was still around that are making these decisions that barely know how the internet works?
You're calling Tony old right now.
But this scarcity mindset that says that we got to hold on, I just don't think that that's the right way, and I don't think it's the future. So
no, I agree. This topic came up. It was 2019. It was the Medicare supplement conference, and there was a big executive group panel talking about the future of the Medicare space, the different product lines, and so forth. And somebody said, "Don't fool yourself out there in the audience. As soon as these insurance companies can replace you, they will, and they'll go direct to consumer." And then another executive and one of the specific executives from the insurance company that they referenced stood up and said, "That is wrong. We won't, because you can't replace distribution at the agent level. It's impossible. You can automate certain things, but all those things will ultimately just assist, like you said, the agent distribution level. And we've seen carriers try to do that. MetLife tried to do it. They tried to say, the hell with distribution, let's just go direct. And they haven't done so well since then.
Here's how we think about it. We think about it like this. If I were to give like an analogy, we believe agents are the Tony Starks of the world. Smart, capable, brilliant, great at what they do.
Yep.
Tony Stark can't go fight Thanos without his Iron Man suit.
Yep.
Right? And so what we want to do and what we believe in doing is, how can we create the Iron Man suit to give to Tony Stark? That's what we want to do. We want to build the Iron Man suit and give them the tools that they need to succeed. And that's like the simplest way that we can explain it. Like, you're not going to replace Tony Stark. At the end of the day, Tony Stark is what makes Iron Man. But Tony Stark needs the suit, and so, or really to accomplish the mission. And so we're very mission focused in that regard. And so that's kind of how we kind of let's pivot to the suit, right? Highlight some better agency, right? You got the shirt. I love I got some cool Kobe and Michael Jordan stuff. I'm like, y'all just be blowing me out the water with your backdrops and stuff. But go in and highlight what is better agency, right? I think we've got a grasp of the mission and the idea behind it, but what is it? What does it do, right? And really kind of what all, I know you guys are rolling out some updates right now, what is to be seen, right? Or what's coming? Yeah. So today we are what we consider the one and only true sales AMS. So we are an agency management system for the P&C independent. We only serve independent insurance agents, and we serve property and casualty agents. And so we are the agency management system, but unlike the other legacy agency management systems that just kind of get the data, sit on it, do nothing, digital filing cabinet, we believe that data should be used for something. It should be leveraged, and there should be a streamlined process that allows agents to sell more business, manage the policies that they have in a better way, handle claims, renewals in a way that's more efficient for them. So we believe in taking the data and playing offense with it. And so that's where the term sales-driven AMS comes to play. At the end of the day, it's an insurance CRM with built-in campaigns, workflows, pipelines, but it has the AMS component that has downloads come into it, and then we take that downloaded data and we want to do stuff with it. We want to automate the communication. One of the things that was never around when I was an agent is you'd have people filing claims in your book of business, and half the time you didn't know about it until you looked at a loss ratio report, because a lot of times if they didn't call you, they'd call the carrier directly. You didn't have any way of being able to show your value as an agent in the claims process. So the time where clients probably need you the most, or they're banking on the value that you sold them the most. And so with the policy downloads that we get from the carriers, we know when claims happen, we can automate communication from the agent that reaches out to them on the agent's behalf. We can manage pipelines from sales, service, claims, and renewals, and automate the entire customer lifecycle. So we think of ourselves as a CRM and AMS that is one thing. It's not two things, it's one thing. That's what it is today. Our product vision is to really become that single platform that agents have and use, that allows them to, again, to have that real true native experience, whether it's connectivity to carriers, rating, proposals, all we want to make all of that as much as we can in one experience, so that agents can just at the whim be able to log into their phone, their laptop, their tablet, their computer, and be able to not just manage their agency, but truly operate their agency in a more balanced way.
That's good, man.
Love it.
And
we're light years from some of those details in the Medicare space, policy downloads.
And that's what I wanted to ask.
Experience. Are you kidding me?
Have you ever thought about maybe going in? I feel like we've talked about this before, about maybe doing phones, right? Or putting phones into, and I know you're like, no, we are this, right? We're not trying to be a Lightspeed voice. Have you ever thought about branching out of PNC, or is that something that's kind of intrigued you guys at all, or maybe not at all? Right?
It's intriguing. And I say never. But there's just so much to do here, and going back to that distraction and that staying focused. Could I see a time where we are branching out and we're trying to solve problems for life and Medicare agents? I can see that. Is that something we're going to do? I would say, we have some heavy lifting to get done first. And that's what we're going to focus on now. Our passion and our experience and our background is all in the P&C side. We don't have the subject matter experts to come in and do that on the life and Medicare side. So I think it's something that I can potentially see us doing down the road.
Yep.
I just think, man, right now we're so hyper focused on this.
Yeah, it's good.
And as far as like VoIP or telecom, like we just, there's reasons why we don't want to get into telecommunications. I mean, there's a lot more regulation, a lot more. It's a much more difficult thing. It comes down to that build, buy, or partner, and we'd much rather say let's just partner with other people who are doing that right now, who've already crossed those bridges.
Yep.
Yeah. We're doing some of the same stuff in our brokerage. Like, why try to reinvent the wheel on something? Just find someone reputable that's accomplished it, and let's develop a strategic partnership.
Yeah, spend our resources solving these problems, and let's partner with somebody who's solving those problems. And in an ideal world, and if we can make it one combined expense as much as possible, let's do that.
Absolutely. A little more basic thought process or question here, but yesterday I'm talking to an agent who I know has been in the business for years. I know has a big book of business. I know she's very successful. And I was shocked to find out that she is still going to the insurance company, each insurance company that she sells for, to look up her book of business and manage it. In other words, she doesn't have a CRM. Apparently doesn't even have an Excel spreadsheet, like at the minimum way to track your clients. And it blew my mind because I forget sometimes, because I've been in the business such a long time, I forget that a lot of people don't already have these check marks done.
Right.
That you that are the must-haves in your agency or your business to run it. So I was to any agents that are listening out there right now that don't have a CRM and you are building a book of business, I'd love to hear some of your thoughts on, like, why should an agent have a CRM? Not just at the basic level, but what's really going to help them win in their business and achieve wins, right? Well, like, what are some of the big reasons, and what maybe are the large boxes that they should check off when looking for a CRM?
Yeah, I mean, they should have a CRM because, I mean, I'm gonna put this delicately. So, well, no, I mean, this is big boy stuff, and it's the simplest way I can put it. Like, it's time to play in the major leagues, and every industry out there that is serious about their business has a way of managing their clients and scaling relationships. You can't. Kudos to whoever you spoke to that was able to do all that and build a really good book of business. The exception only proves the rule in this case. You can't scale very well when you're doing it like that. The inefficiency and the opportunity costs that you're losing by not relying on simple technology to manage these relationships. And before I go off on a tangent, I mean, everybody today wants to call themselves a CRM. I think it's very sexy to say, we're CRM. But at the end of the day, like, your CRM helps you manage your relationships. And it's not just a Rolodex. It's not just know where people are at in stages. It's, I want to manage relationships. Part of that management is communication. It's identification. It's segmentation. It's all of this stuff. You want to be able to grow the agency and do that, and do so in a way that's efficient at scale. And you want to be able to just solve problems without just throwing bodies at it, meaning I got to hire this person to do this and this person to do that, where technology can do some of that heavy lifting. So that's why you get a CRM, because this is what serious people do. You do these things. Yeah. And these are table stakes. And there'll be people who are probably watching this who are going, well, I was able to build my book of business to XYZ without all this technology. and great. But there are scores of other people who can't do that. Yep. And I'm not talking to the person who's like, I'm shut off to this. I don't want this. I'm talking to the person that's like, I want to grow. I want to be more efficient. I want to build the right foundation where I can have the right infrastructure when it comes to staff and processes and systems and workflows. Like, that's why you do it. So you can systematize and create the streamlined process for your workflows, for your operations. That's just what you do. When it comes to what should you be looking for, I think it somewhat depends on the type of agency you have. I'm going to speak to what I know and say, for the property and casualty side of the industry. And what you need to look for is I need to like make sure I don't get myself in trouble here. So I want to choose my words cautiously before I just run out in open field here. A CRM is not a CRM if it doesn't have the basic marketing automation capabilities in there. If it doesn't allow you to track, and there's no order in this, by the way, but it doesn't allow you to create marketing automation that's going to help you do the easiest basic things. I use the example for the claim situation or the renewals or reporting. If it doesn't have those basic functionality, it's not a CRM. If it's just a fancy dashboard that allows you to see your contacts, it's not a CRM.
Yeah.
I hate to break the bubble.
It's a database.
It's a database, and that's fine. Let's just make sure we're clear on definitions here. In my opinion, a CRM in the insurance space is not a CRM if it's not in the insurance space, if it's not getting policy downloads. That's just how I think. That's my definition. You can't tell me you're a CRM unless you have a very good integration or you're getting downloads. And the reason why I say downloads is because I know how the integrations work, and they're poor.
Yep.
If we had great two-way integrations between carriers and AMS platforms, I'd say the definition could change. But I know this to be the case. It's not that way today.
Yep.
So in my opinion, a CRM gets downloads for the insurance space. There's lots of other broad market CRMs. You mentioned Go High Level, and there's others. There's lots of really good ones. Salesforce, HubSpot, Infusionsoft. There's really good CRMs that are built for the broad market. And I've been on a lot of them, and I think that it's okay if that's what you want to use. If you are the type of person that wants to go in and build the stuff that needs to be built, they can be built fantastic. Our motto is we want agents to feel like they don't have to create. We want them to edit, not create. It's our motto.
Yep.
Edit, not create. And that could be right or it could be wrong. That's our own personal thing. And so we say we're going to be opinionated. We're going to say these are the processes that best suit an independent insurance agent. And while we're thinking about some other modularity we want to bring in, we just think that it's better to be opinionated up front, because most agents that we talk to, if you ask them what their process was, you ask them what their workflow was, like, what's your process for new business? You'll find some that they can list out A, B, C, D, and E.
Yep.
But you'll also find a lot more than the other side that will say, I don't know. Or if they're answering honestly, it's never consistent. And so
I call people and sell them insurance. That's my process.
Right. And it's a very reactive operation. They have a very reactive agency, and that will get you so far. But the agencies that are able to kind of break through that $1 million revenue mark and beyond are those that have streamlined processes and are consistent. When I walk into Starbucks here in Phoenix, it's the same process that if I were to walk into one in Chicago, if I were to walk in one in Brisbane, like, it's the same thing. I know exactly what I'm getting, right? And the companies and the operations that are able to build that way and to scale are able to clearly have a very defined process that I can bring anybody in off the street. We talk about recruiting and hiring challenges agencies have. I wouldn't want to work in half the agencies anyways, because there's no streamlined process or operation. And so if we want to attract good talent, we have to have good processes and things in place that are going to help them be successful. And so a CRM is going to have those things in place. I think that's what we need to look for. We want to be opinionated. We want to give agents the power to edit, but not feel like they have to create, so that they can be efficient and just kind of do the thing that they want to do. We recognize most insurance agents aren't marketers. They're not technology people. As much as some of them wish that they were, they're not. And
myself included.
And you shouldn't. And listen, if you geek out on it, that's one thing. But I'm talking about agents that feel like they have to spend hours and hours and hours fine-tuning these things and building these things. If that's your passion, that's cool. But you shouldn't have to do that in order to be successful. There should be something out there with enough modularity where you can edit, but not feel like you have to create the whole thing from scratch.
That's good.
Awesome. Great stuff, man. Boom. Nick Ayers, everybody. How do people get in touch with you if they're interested in learning more about Better Agency?
Best thing, so I'll give you a couple different resources. You can of course find me. You just find me online. I'm everywhere. Everywhere that I think is important. So Facebook, LinkedIn. I would encourage anybody to go to our YouTube channel, Better Agency, and subscribe. That's pretty much where I put out every week. I put out video content, and it's all geared towards agency success. That's really my outlet for things. It's where I'm probably the most responsive on a lot of things. But LinkedIn is great, and Facebook is great.
It's awesome. And
Awesome.
anybody watching too, they're on the preferred vendor list as well. So if you guys use the search feature here within Insurance Syndicate, just type in preferred vendor list. You guys will see Better Agency, and I believe I've got a contact email or something in there too. But definitely check out the YouTube, because y'all's content is like super crispy and clean. people could learn just from watching those videos on like, okay, this is what it takes to make good content.
Well, yeah, I mean, don't let it be a stumbling block for you. I mean, so a lot of people want to. Video is my background. It's my passion. I love it, and I do it because I don't play golf and I don't go to the bar. So I'm a bad insurance agent in that regard. So, like, people if I have questions on it, that's fine, but don't let that be a stumbling block for you. If you have questions on any of that, I'm happy to help anybody that wants to reach out. But you got to make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the videos first.
It's awesome.
There you go. There you go. Well, man, we want to respect everybody's time. We try to keep these things right at about 45 minutes. Thank you so much for coming on and hanging out with us. We really appreciate it. Very insightful and good stuff. So, guys, if you're out there looking for a CRM, certainly check out Better Agency, at least if you're in the PNC space. And again, thank you so much. And guys, we will see you next Wednesday, 9 a.m.
See you guys.